And welcome to the MLB show on the Solder on Sports Podcast Network. I am Mark Solder. It is great to be here. First time doing a baseball show. It's been a minute. I have been planning on doing a baseball show all summer long, and I just didn't. But here we are. It's playoffs. Better late than never. Before we get started, let everybody know that this show is brought to you by FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Right now with promo code SPORTS10, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. There is also an ongoing sale up to 50% off selected cards. And with our promo code SPORTS10, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. You get the idea. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and get 10% off your order with promo code SPORTS10. Also, we are brought to you by Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Shout out to them for having us on board as always. Baseball playoffs literally could not be more right around the corner. Football's in full swing. Hockey's just ahead. Basketball's a few weeks away. Get everything you need to know on all of that good stuff, whether it's betting, whether it's just like normal fandom without being like degenerate like us, DFS, the whole 9 yards. They also have a health website, a lifestyle website. They have whatever. They talk about gaming. They talk about movies and TV shows and pop culture. They have it all. Total Apex Media, totalapexsports.com. Once again, this is the MLB show on the Solder on Sports Podcast Network. I am Mark Solder, and here, my good friend.
It has been a minute. Yeah,
Tom.
fantastic.
How you doing, bro? It's been
couldn't
a while.
be better, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show. Really excited to be here. Really excited about the wild card round starting tomorrow at noon local time for me. I guess 1 o'clock for you. Yeah, can't get better than this.
No, man, it's super exciting, and you know, I have to. I love baseball. I do cover the NHL. I watch football all the time, and I have a wife and a family. And so when it comes to baseball, I watch it and I'm in it. But I do have to sacrifice a few weeknights and my weekend nights for the betterment of my marriage. But now that playoffs are starting and hockey is just a week and a half away, this is the time of the year where my marriage and my parenthood goes considerably downhill. So at least she knows what she signed up for. All right, man. Before we get into the series, before we get into all that good stuff, a couple topics that I want to send your way. The first is, yesterday was a crazy day. And if you're listening to this show Tuesday morning, by yesterday, I mean Sunday, absolutely crazy day. Just a beautiful way for the season to end. I do have a gripe that I will send your way at another time in this show. But before we just automatically start complaining, so much to take from yesterday, whether it's the Blue Jays winning, whether it's the Mets losing and the Reds losing too, but it didn't matter for the Reds. Just up and down storylines all over the place. But now, like the playoffs start, and what is your biggest storyline entering the 2025 postseason? And I feel like, and like you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, man. I just feel like this postseason has more intrigue than I remember the baseball postseason. I think you're still seeing the Dodgers. You're still seeing the Yankees there. And like it just feels like there's, I don't know, like more fresh blood. Like there's more everything that happened with the Tigers and the Guardians throughout the last 2.5 months. It just feels like there's more meat on the bone if we're talking about storylines for the 2025 postseason.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the biggest story going into the wild card round is just who's there and who's not and how they got there, right? I mean, it went all the way playoff seeding, who made it, who didn't, went all the way down to game 162. This is what MLB envisioned when they added the extra wild card. This is definitely what MLB envisioned when they changed the schedule, so everybody on the last day of the season would play at the same time. Nobody's sitting their starter because they know they made it or didn't make it. Yeah, I mean the every league chases the parity that the NFL has, and MLB seems to have found it. We've got the Mets slow playing their Metsness over the last couple of months to a slow motion. We've got for the second straight year. The AL Central champion is a team that aggressively sold at the trade deadline a couple of months ago before getting red hot and overtaking and joining the playoffs. It's just a mirror image of last year when Detroit sold, and then this year Cleveland trading Justin Bieber, among others. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest storyline, right? There is parity, there is some difference. There's also some of the same. Like you mentioned, the Dodgers are back in the playoffs. They had what for most teams would be, considered a season from hell, where everything went wrong, injuries decimated them. But when you have all-stars at every position and two rotations worth of playoff caliber starters, and at the beginning of this year, I think one of the main storylines coming into the season was, is free agency broken? Do we need a salary cap? Because the Dodgers just can't keep getting away with this, right? They win the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes, which was free, cheap, but they also spend more money than anybody else. So when it comes time to sign 5 closers, they can do that too. And then you have another team that also spends that much money in the Mets, who can't stop tripping over their own, we'll say, shoelaces on their way out of the playoffs a couple of days before the regular season ends. So that to me is the biggest storyline. It's just who's there and who isn't and how they got there.
Yeah, man. And I mean, with the whole like fresh blood thing, I think it's important to have like your mainstays, especially we're talking about like with the Dodgers. When you have the players the Dodgers have, it's important for them to be representing themselves come postseason time, right? Like to have all those star players not playing for the Yankees. It's just simply the fact that they're the Yankees. They could have, no disrespect to the two of us, but they could have the two of us starting and it would still be prime time because it's the New York Yankees. And the fact that it just like lined up that the Red Sox are back and they're playing the Yankees. I like there was a couple different thoughts that I thought were interesting that I heard today. And the one being, it's a shame that the Yankees and the Red Sox aren't in a longer series, that it's just the 3 games and it's not a true like longer series. And the other thought, and this one I completely agree with, is this is perfect because neither of those teams won the division, right? Neither of those teams could beat the teams that they needed to, like the Blue Jays, to get the opportunity to be in the second round, or I guess divisional round. This is perfect. These two rivals, they're meeting, 2 wins, and then the other one goes home. I absolutely love it. For me, the biggest storyline, and I don't know if this is the biggest storyline, but like to me it is. I'm captivated by the Detroit Cleveland series. I think obviously if you're talking big picture, the biggest storyline would be, like the Mets collapsing, which we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes or whatever. To me, I'm captivated by this Detroit Cleveland series. I think this is the 3rd Tuesday in a row where they've started a series against each other. They've played each other so much in the last couple weeks. The middle of July, I don't have the exact date, but I think it was the middle of July, wasn't it? That the Tigers were up like 15 and a half games or something on Cleveland. Like that date might not be
It was
100%, but
it
it's
was the
around there.
biggest comeback to win a division in MLB history, period. 15 and a half games. And it was,
Yeah,
I
dude.
think it was July 13th. Doesn't matter when it was, 15 and a half games is too many to be coming back, you know? So I definitely agree.
It's
fantastic.
insane.
It's exciting.
And
I think a lot of people probably haven't watched the Guardians play much this year will realize that they're maybe not the most exciting team to watch on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot of pitching and a lot of defense. I think we remember that from the last couple of years of Toronto Blue Jays baseball. They do it better. They win more than the Jays did in that pitching and defense era. But yeah, what a great story. They're like clockwork, right? It's a metronome. Cleveland's going to be in the playoffs. I don't know how, but they will make it there. But yeah, to piggyback on the point you mentioned earlier about teams like the Yankees and teams like the Dodgers being there every year and representing, right? What do we want in baseball? What you always want as a sports fan in any sport is you love these David versus Goliath stories, right? There's nothing impressive necessarily about the Cleveland Guardians winning on a low payroll, or the Milwaukee Brewers winning their division on a low payroll. Only missed the playoffs once out of the last 9 years, I believe it is, with a very low payroll. You can't have a David unless you have a Goliath, and the Goliaths that we have right now, right? The Dodgers, the Yankees, and as somebody who I don't know, possibly may enjoy the occasional fifth inning defensive collapse by the Yankees in the World Series. Well, you don't get that kind of stuff. You don't get to make fun of them if they don't make it, you know? So yeah, I mean, everybody wants to cheer for the underdog, but you need Goliath to have a David.
Yeah, I used to cheer for the underdog. Now I just want to see the best players just smash everybody. But to quickly finish my thought, though, I think what is really interesting for me is on the Detroit Tigers side of things, because clearly the Guardians have all the momentum, clearly. And whether you believe in momentum carrying over from, like, I think it was somebody on the Tigers, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, like, you know, this is like the whole season starts over. What happened in the last 162 games, like, doesn't matter. This is fresh, clean slate. I disagree. As a non-professional baseball player, I completely disagree. Like, you just played 162 baseball games. You had a 15 and a half league game lead in the division. That absolutely matters. That's what everybody says in every single sport come the postseason. It's a new sport. What happened before is irrelevant. It's like, I don't know, man. You just played 162 games and coughed up a 15 and a half game lead. Like, that can't not matter. So I'm curious, because I think I really like the Guardians pitching staff, even though, like, they traded Bieber. I like their pitching staff still. I still would rather the offense of the Tigers. But for the last however many weeks, they've just fallen off the planet. And I'm just super curious to see if it really is a whole new slate. Just real quickly, I want to shout out Brady. Brady in the chat. He hangs out in a lot of our different podcasts. He's been around since the good old days, the gambling days here. Yeah. So Brady, if you're watching, all right, Tom, for some context, our guy Brady is from Vancouver, and he's constantly pumping up Vancouver and crapping on Toronto, because that's what seems like everyone in Vancouver wants to do.
Not just Vancouver,
even across Canada. It feels like yeah, I guess that's true. So he's saying what team has the best record in the American League? Well, that would be the Toronto Blue Jays. They are tied with the Yankees. But that would be the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, Brady, I want to know, who's your favorite baseball team? Because it's either Toronto or it's Seattle. And him asking this question would lead me to believe that it's not Seattle. I'm very curious to know what this guy has to say. And then Jordan, thank you so much for hanging out, man. Listen, full disclosure, you didn't even extend an invite. I told Tom this before we went live. I'll just call myself out about it. I don't care. I thought the playoffs were Wednesday. And then I realized today that they're not, and I have to throw together a podcast quickly. So that's what this is, bro. But I love you, Jordan. Thank you for thank you for hanging out. All right. The Blue Jays are Canada's team. Oh, I see. So it's not Toronto. This is when it's acceptable. Very picky and choosy from a nation that hates the best city. The best city. Yeah, I'm a Blue Jays fan.
The Expos. The best city hasn't had best city hasn't had a team in 21 years. So no.
I can't hate on Montreal, man. Montreal is a terrific city, and it's a shame what happened to their baseball team. All right, before we get into, is there anything that you want to add to the Detroit? I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but is there any final point that you want to put onto that discussion?
No, I mean, yeah, just momentum in baseball. When momentum's going against you, your manager's always going to say something like "momentum is tomorrow's starting pitcher," or some other platitude like that. But it's true, right? And the best starting pitcher in the American League is Tarek Skubal, plays for the Detroit Tigers. The next several best starting pitchers in that series are all Cleveland Guardians. So yeah, I mean, Skubal, they punted on even trying to win the division yesterday by scratching Skubal from the start so that he would be ready for game one of the wild card round. So he'll be going tomorrow against Cleveland. We'll see. Baseball's crazy. The whole sport is predicated on trying to hit a round object with a round object, right? So yeah, it's built for chaos. That'll be a fun series.
And I mean, Williams has had the Tigers number as of late. This is like a must win, in my opinion, for Detroit. If tomorrow, I think they can find a way to bounce back. But if Detroit loses, I think it's over. But we'll talk about that series a little bit more in the future, and not in like a few minutes. All right, before we move on, actual games themselves, we gotta talk about this Mets collapse. It's another with, they started out the season 21-9, and once again, I can't remember the exact like record of it, but it was like 30 something wins and 50 something losses in the remainder of the games. Just an absolute collapse. And I'm curious your thoughts on this, man, because it's unfortunate that the Reds' success about without the acknowledgement that the Mets puked all over themselves. You want to celebrate a team making it in. I have the theory that if you make it in, then you deserve to be in. I thought that was true even a couple years ago in hockey, when the Washington Capitals made it into the 8th spot, and they only made it in because nobody else wanted it, and that whole Metro division sucked, but they got in, and so you deserve to be there. That's not really the conversation that's happening right now. And what's crazy about this whole Mets thing, dude, is like, you would think if they didn't make it in, it's because their big boys didn't play well. And like Pete Alonso and Juan Soto and Nimmo and Lindor, there were aspects of all of their games in which they had career years in certain aspects. And so talk to me, man. What do we make of this? And it's just another sad chapter in what could be a very successful franchise. I'm not in any like I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I'm not hating on the Mets. I never want to see them fail. There's a part of me that wants to see the Mets do well. I think that they're like the little brother, to the Yankees, and I would love to see the Mets do well and even do better than the Yankees. But this just can't be avoided, man. This is a colossal meltdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think everybody returns to their level. I think everybody should just embrace who they actually are at their core and try to be the best with that. And we watched the Mets do that in the second half of this year. The curse is real. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, complimentary baseball, right? I think a lot of people over the last 20 years since the Moneyball era, quote unquote, are tired of teams being built like baseball is played on a spreadsheet. The Mets, yeah, their numbers look great, but ill-timed errors, forgetting how many outs there are, forgetting what the count is when you're at bat. Pete Alonso had a great year at the dish, a resurgent year for him at the dish, but ask Kodai Senga how Pete Alonso's defense was at first base. Of course, it was a bad throw from Alonso that caused Senga to injure his hamstring, miss a chunk of the year, came back, was never right properly again, and wound up finishing the season in the minor leagues. Yeah, I mean, and just error after error after error, which will be a bit of a theme as we get further into previewing some stuff. But yeah, run, don't walk to your legacy media of choice to read the various postmortems of the Mets season. It's a bunch of people saying exactly the right things, exactly what you'd want them to say if you're a Mets fan. Nobody is saying that it's because of chemistry. Nobody's saying it's because of effort. Nobody's saying it's because of coaching, and Mendoza will be back next year. The fact is the team didn't play winning baseball. The exact opposite of what we saw with the Cleveland Guardians, the exact opposite of what we've seen with the Toronto Blue Jays, with the Milwaukee Brewers. You put up good numbers, but if they're not sequenced right, if you're not playing for the guy behind you, what happens? You slowly bleed out. It's like that line from, I think it's maybe, I don't remember, might be Hemingway, but like they asked the guy, how did you go bankrupt, right? And he says, well, slowly at first, and then all of a sudden, So that's the Mets, right?
Yeah.
What's the Mets in 2025? And congratulations to them on embracing themselves. Just be true to who you are.
Yeah, and I mean, to me too, it can be, it is as simple as the fact that you had, like I said, like those four guys. I mean, Jordan here in the chat's talking about like regression for Alonso, and I mean, I thought he had a really good season personally. But so for the other guys, like they all had like really good seasons, and it took a while for Soto to get warmed up, but he had a good season overall.
I mean, he went 40-40. You can't complain about the numbers on the back of his baseball card. You can't complain about the advanced numbers that he put up.
No,
either. But you can do all of that from home, not watching the Mets play in October. So,
and to me, it's as simple as they invested in all of these heavy hitters and did not, like, they don't have the starting pitching to keep up. They just don't. If you're trying to be a World Series champion, like what was the stat I heard? And Jordan is throwing out stats. He can probably correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the Rockies were the only team that had less starts of 5 innings, or more starts, of 5 innings or less. Like they could not get guys to go 6 or more innings. They couldn't. And their bullpen was just relied on way too early every day. And you're just not going to sustain like that. You're just not. And so all this money that Cohen's throwing around, and hey, man, if you got the money, spend it. I absolutely love it. I don't want to see a salary
completely
cap
agree. Yeah.
in the baseball. I think in other sports like hockey, for example, where the salary cap has been very strict for a long time and it's finally going up. I understand why it is. I don't like it, but I understand it. Where in baseball, hey man, spend. You got the TV revenue, you have all of this shared revenue, spend the money. Everyone can spend money to a certain extent. I know not everyone's the Dodgers and the Mets, but my point remains the same. To me, it's that simple, man. They just don't have the pitching, and it doesn't need to get more complicated than that. I mean, I just and I mean that doesn't take away from the fact again, like Jordan said in the chat, like yesterday, they lost the game 4-0. They had opportunities. That was not like they got completely shut down. They had the chances to win that game. Um, and yeah, just I don't know, just couldn't get it done. And so yeah, I'm really curious to see, Alonso announced that he is opting out of the contract and now he has all the cards. He has all the leverage. Um so they I'm assuming they want to keep him. I think they would want to keep him. How much money will they be paying him? But they gotta find a way to pay for some big arms, man, because this is just going to be more of the same if you can't get that pitching staff dialed in.
Yeah, yeah. There's some work to do there. That roster is pretty top heavy. Injuries were a big part, right? They had the best record in baseball in June, and they had a bit of a swoon there when Manaea got hurt, Senga got hurt, and then everything kind of spiraled from there, right? But yeah, I mean, David Stearns, their president of baseball operations, that's his MO. He doesn't like to spend big on pitching. He doesn't like to spend big on starting pitching with long-term commitments. So we'll find out if that's something he does this year. But he wasn't even in on the big pitchers last year. I mean, the free agent market isn't always teeming with options. And who knows what they'll do. But yeah, when you can't pitch and you can't play defense, you don't get to play in October.
Yeah, it is that simple. And with that, let's segue to the next topic of conversation, including the Cincinnati Reds starting the wild card round. Wild card previews. Cincinnati Reds plus 215 to win the series. They will be in Los Angeles, and they are minus 270 to win this series. So before we get going into this overall series, I was listening to somebody in the media that I respect and I value what he thinks about like the game, and I'm not going to share names or whatever, but I like to listen to him for my baseball learning, right? And he basically was I was kind of disappointed, honestly, because I understand what he was trying to say. I get the idea, but he basically said, let's make no mistake about this. The Reds are not a playoff team. They are the benefit of other teams. And he went on to rail about the Diamondbacks and rail about the Mets and rail about these other teams that kind of stumbled along the way. And then here we are, the Giants. And now here we are, the Reds are in the playoffs. And he basically just shut down any sort of acknowledgement that the Reds deserve to be here, and then finish it off with, but let's not take away from the fact that the Reds are in the playoffs and they worked hard and I'm happy they're here. And then he just railed on all the other teams. And then, but this does not take away from the fact. It's like, no, man, I think you're taking away from the fact that the Reds are in the postseason. And listen, I understand it. I get it. This is not even necessarily an opinion. This is just mathematics. And you do the math on how the other teams had a better chance to make it than the Reds did. They weren't that great going down the stretch, but they hung around just enough to be given the opportunity to now play postseason baseball. If there's any shot at all, it's the starting pitching staff. And the bullpen's pretty darn good too. Obviously, You're giving me Sneal. You're giving me like Shohei, and you're giving me all the bats that the Dodgers provide. I'm
Yeah,
not
so
saying
I think
that the Reds will necessarily win this series, but like Tom, I don't think it's just like 1-2. Like this series is, this is going to be, I think, a closer series like than people
yeah.
think it
So
is.
as of now, Hunter Green is set to start Game 1 for the Cincinnati Reds
Yep.
against Blake Snell, who is at the best times trick or treat. Right, this wasn't as good of a second half of the season as he's had in his previous Cy Young award-winning seasons, but he's a really good pitcher. He had a good second half. Not sure I trust him as much as I trust Hunter Green in that first game. And then Game 2, it'll be Yamamoto starting for the Dodgers. Game 3, if necessary, will be Shohei Ohtani. The Reds haven't yet announced, officially confirmed who the Game 2 and 3 starters will be yet, but obviously with Lodolo and they have a lot of options and really good pitching. Bullpen's good. The fact that these games are going to be played in LA might be a little bit more of less of a home field advantage than you might expect for a Dodgers team, with as much power as they have and as much of a bandbox as the Cincinnati Great American Ballpark is. That power plays up a little bit more for LA in Cincinnati, but the games will all be played at Chavez Ravine. This is, of all of the lines, right, for any of these series, that's the juiciest one to me. Cincinnati plus 215. Say Hunter Green is lights out. Remember his last start, he pitched a complete game shutout. He's been red hot down the stretch. Even as the Reds have been basically a 500 team. I think they're one game over 500 since the All-Star break. I think they went 14-11, so not exactly breaking down the door to get into the playoffs here. But yeah, if Hunter Green can quiet the bats in LA in Game 1, they just need to win one more game, right? There are a million reasons to expect the Dodgers to win. I don't know which 26 guys there are going to be that they're choosing for the roster, but yeah, they're a stronger team, and if it was a longer series, you'd expect that depth to win out. But I honestly, I can see a world where Cincinnati plays just well enough. I mean, barely over 500 gets you through the series.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like we say, like I do think realistically this should be a simple series for the Dodgers. I think too, man, I really like, from the Dodgers perspective, I really like that they don't have the bye. I don't know why. It just something about the fact, because we see this quite often, like it feels like half of the teams that get the bye lose, like year after year after year after year. And I just kind of like the fact and keep the bullpen going, keep the arms going, keep the momentum going. Like personally, like the fact for the Dodgers that they don't have to kind of keep like playing baseball. I mean, listen, like I said, this should be a pretty simple series for the Dodgers on paper. But that pitching staff for the just they will be in every game until at least sixth inning, and you just hope that bats can come alive. And De La Cruz, he keeps the king of LA. Well, all right, homie, now's the time to show. He's yours.
Yeah, it'll be a fun series for sure. That is we talked about David versus Goliath. That's about as David and Goliath as you get, right? The team that snuck in and nobody at all wants to give any respect to, and the team that had everybody's chins wagging at the beginning of the season, talking about how they were single-handedly going to force a salary cap onto Major League Baseball. So, yeah, go Reds.
Absolutely love it. All right, moving on to the Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres. Chicago minus 126 to win the series. San Diego plus 106. I honestly, Tom, don't have a huge lean one way or the other. I feel like the Cubs have been the more consistent of the team just throughout the um sorry, just quickly um my computer's giving me issues here. I know that yeah, I the Cubs a little bit more. Um and I know that you're fixing your camera over there, but how are you leaning the Cubs and Padres? Because I don't know what it is about this Cubs team, man. It doesn't really get much deeper than that for me.
Yeah, I think I lean the exact opposite direction. I think the Padres are a more complete team. This is a series I really wish we could have watched this back in June when both teams were going really well. I really like the Padres
Right.
trade deadline, but they kind of fell flat a little bit since then. They're now missing Ramon Laureano, who's been fantastic for them since they picked him up. He's got a broken finger, I believe. But yeah, both teams pretty top heavy. I think it comes down to pitching, right? Hunter Brown is out for the Cubs, and the Padres bullpen, especially the back end of it, is just so strong. Then couple that with the fact that I don't know what the Cubs think they're going to be getting from I don't know what the Cubs are going to get from Kyle Tucker or Pete Crow Armstrong on a day-to-day basis, but because you've seen it before, that Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado show up in the playoffs. They're pretty battle tested. For most teams, I think Wrigley would be kind of imposing to go in and play there, but those guys see themselves as villains anyway. And so I expect that to be the most exciting series. I expect some weird stuff to happen because October baseball in Wrigley Field. Maybe we could get a little Bartman action. I don't know. It's going to be the most fun series, I believe, of the first round. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Padres there.
Yeah. I don't have too much more to offer. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know why. I trust the Cubs more in this spot. I mean, you can't argue with the work that the Padres did at the trade deadline, right? And there's something about everything that they added that just shows you, because on the one hand, it's just this Padres team that's just thrown money at everything and it hasn't really worked out overly well. But on the other hand, you throw this much money and capital, whether it's draft capital or prospects or whatever. I guess prospects more than draft when it comes to baseball. And it just shows you that these guys really believe in this team. And we're adding all these pieces, all the players, because we see something. I also, maybe the more underrated starting pitcher matchup tomorrow, Pivetta and Boyd, that's going to be a terrific matchup between the two of them. And I'm really happy for Pivetta. Ironically, he would have made it to the playoffs anyway, maybe, but I'm really happy for Pivetta to be the one to get the rock here in the opening game. But to me, Pivetta Boyd might be the most underrated pitching matchup of the day.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the whole series is going to be great. Nick Pivetta, always been a little bit trick or treat. I think we all cheer for him, obviously, because of his passport, but also he's an exciting guy to watch, right? He'll strike out everybody. He'll give up the long ball too. We'll see. It's going to be, I can't stress enough that I think that's going to be the most exciting series. And two good teams, two flawed teams, two teams that don't have maybe the depth. I think it comes down to pitching, and there's just a little bit more to go around in San Diego.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to probably just generally speaking across America, the series that everybody will be tuning in on and everybody will be talking about: the Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees. Plus 156 for the Red Sox to win this series, minus 184 for the Yankees to win. I gotta say, man, I'm surprised at these odds. I honestly, not that I obviously thought that the Yankees would probably cover or not cover, but would probably be favored. I'm not saying that, but this is a pretty strong lean over to the Yankees, and I feel like the Red Sox, like this is not like these two teams are not that like heavily separated.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, right, the Red Sox aren't scared at all of going and playing in Yankee Stadium. The Yankees haven't had any success really against the Red Sox this season. I don't think Garrett Crochet broke a sweat while mowing them down. The Yankees spent the last couple of weeks trying to hunt down the Jays for first place in the division, a losing cause for them. Whereas the Red Sox have been kind of on cruise control. They're going to come with they'll come with Crochet in game one, and then I believe it was set to be Bayo and then Giolito. Not sure the order there. Again, guys that can strike everybody out, right? So I mean, are the Red Sox scared of Max Fried? I don't think so. Is anybody? I mean, Alex Bregman has had as much success in the postseason against the New York Yankees as any player in the league right now. Their manager, Alex Cora, he was the bench coach on those Astros teams that started this current wave of Yankees postseason heartbreak back in the late 2010s. So yeah, I mean, I guess obviously the better team with home field advantage. I can see the odd. I could see them as the betting favorites, but I agree that the spread is richer than I would have expected. Certainly richer than I would have said it. And I expect Boston actually to win the series. One thing, both teams have terrible defense, right? Good center fielders, and just generally terrible defense. The Red Sox lead the league, I believe, in errors made. Not the best metric to evaluate defense overall, but obviously errors in specific situations. Ask the Mets. Do cost individual games, right? In the aggregate, over 162 games, sure, I'll take DRS or ultimate zone rating. But yeah, I don't love either defense. The Yankees are a mess defensively. Jazz Chisholm, probably their best defensive player, just recently hit in the hand with a pitch. I don't know if he's playing. He will be playing hurt. It looked pretty bad. Yeah. The one thing, right? The Yankees have so much more power. Well, no, the bad defense isn't going to hurt you if most of the other runs are coming on home runs. No center fielders catching an Aaron Judge bomb in the second deck, right? But the Red Sox put the ball in play a little bit more often. It's going to put a bit more pressure on the Yankees. Really, really sketchy defense. Yeah, I mean, I'd trust a meth head more than I'd trust the Yankees catching the ball at this point. So either way, I mean, I think the Jays will be favored with whomever they play, because the Jays definitely put pressure on that way. I wouldn't want to see Garrett Crochet. I hope the Yankees win, which is a strange thing to say. I just don't think they will. I think the Red Sox have this. Yeah.
I disagree with that like last point you made. I think Jays, I think the Yankees would be favored. And not because I necessarily think that the Yankees are than the Jays are. I think that they will be. But the odds for tomorrow, Jordan, Death Heads could play better defense than the Yankees. The odds for tomorrow, minus 134 for the Yankees, plus 114. Like, honestly, I think that this series is pretty split down the middle. I personally really like what I am seeing. And like, listen, like, the Yankees have gotten hot at the right time. They cannot lose right now. And ultimately it didn't matter because of the heroic. But I'm right there with you. I think honestly that the Red Sox take advantage of the Yankees with greater ease than the Yankees could of the Red Sox. Here in the chat, who are you a fan of? I thought you were a Yankees fan. Fans, I thought that for sure you were, but beyond the tomorrow for the Yankees, what do you think the disparity is between the
Much better back of the bullpen for the Red Sox. I actually like Carlos Rondon. Like the rest of the Yankees rotation is fine. I think it'd be Rodon, and then I don't know if they'll go Schlittler or what for Game 3. I think
that's projected to be the third starter.
Yeah, I don't. It hasn't been announced, but I don't know who else they go to. The Yankees bullpen has been awful frequently this year. It seems not to be the individual players. They traded for Camilo Doval at the trade deadline. He immediately became a pumpkin. Bednar has been good. I don't think Yankees fans are overly in love with him. Obviously, Devin Williams came over from the Brewers in last offseason in the trade for Nestor Cortez, and has been wet garbage much of the year. They have Luke Weaver. I mean, name guys who you've seen do it before, but you haven't seen do it consistently recently. Whereas the Red Sox have a thoroughly drama-free bullpen. At the back end of it, Aroldis Chapman's having possibly the best season of his 17-year career.
I agree with you.
And they've been on cruise control. Yeah. They've been ready for this series for days, while the Yankees have been focused on other stuff. I don't see the Yankees suddenly figuring out how to hit Garrett Crochet. They haven't done it all year. Aaron Judge is probably going to win the MVP despite Cal Raleigh. Giancarlo Stanton has had some huge moments in October. I just don't. Pitching wins championships, right? Neither team can catch the ball. I just trust the Red Sox to be a little bit less dramatic about everything.
Yeah, and I mean Chapman, like for a long time, he was just throwing the ball, and I know it's funny for someone with a career like the one he's had, but his fastball where he wants it right now, which, like, shocking that's turned into maybe the best season of his career.
Yeah, it's and it's not like he's lost anything. He's still pumping it up over 100.
No,
so, he'll blow you away. Yeah, and I don't know. So relievers are the most volatile players on a baseball team. 1 week to the next, you have no idea who's got a good bullpen, right? But you can be pretty sure who has a bad one, and the Yankees do, and the Red Sox don't. They've shown themselves all year to be pretty reliable group.
Absolutely. To the final series of this wild card round, the Detroit Tigers at the Cleveland Guardians. And then at the end of it all, I didn't tell Tom that I was going to this, but I am going to Tom give us a World Series pick. Give you mine as well. Ahead of the divisional round on Saturday, Friday, and we will discuss. It might be Friday or Saturday morning or whenever back to talk, or maybe Thursday night when all the games are over. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. Back to talk the divisional round, at which time we will talk that have already punched their ticket. Again, already punched their ticket. Blue Jays, like the Phillies, like the Brewers, like the Mariners, and before the divisional round. All right, last series of the wild card round, Detroit Tigers -104, and just based on recent history, I find these lines fascinating.
This
The
line
Tigers are favored, but Cleveland's still minus money. You're not getting them at plus money, at least not on FanDuel. So lay it out for us, man. I really feel like and again, I'm not laying out some crazy stats. I'm not laying out some crazy facts. That's what you're here for. That's what Jordan hanging out in the chat is here for. I think that the Tigers should win this series. I know that Skubal is not even their best pitcher, the best pitcher in baseball right now, at least in the AL. But with the offense that they have, this team should win this series, and it might take 3 games, but there is no reason on paper, in my opinion, that the Detroit Tigers should lose this series. However, I cannot get over what we have watched in the last 2-3 weeks, let alone the last 2.5 months.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? That we got to this part. It's extremely fun. Baseball's the best, and our reward for baseball being the best is that we get to see this grudge match between these two division rivals, who seem to just be playing each other constantly the last few weeks because they've been playing each other constantly the last few weeks. Tarek Skubal's the best pitcher in the AL. Almost certainly going to win the Cy Young unless I don't know, everybody has a stroke. And yet, I got to take the Guardians in this series. Detroit hasn't done anything in quite a while. Yeah, for a while. Sometimes when a baseball diamond thinks everything just kind of piles up and goes wrong, and you're a better team than your results indicate. But were they ever really that great? We only saw them be any good for a little less than a full season, starting with last year right after the trade deadline through the end of the year, through the first half of this season. The Tigers looked like they were legit. They get to the trade deadline. This year, they were light buyers, just kind of put a little bit of lipstick around the edges, but they haven't done anything since then. After Skubal, I don't love their pitching. Their offense is pretty susceptible to left-handed pitching. Their offense is also pretty streaky. That can go great if you're on the right kind of streak. Meanwhile, the Guardians have shown that they can get to Skubal. You'll recall the gruesome injury that happened last week in a Tigers. Skubal threw the pitch in a Tigers Guardians game, but at the same time, Jose Ramirez was on second base. He caused a balk. He got the guy over to third. I mean, they can get to him, right? It could happen to anybody, but when you have, I think, probably the best position player in the series, I think certainly the best position player in the series is on Cleveland, in Jose Ramirez. In a series that's going to be low scoring, I would expect, because the Guardians pitch so well. They catch the ball so well. This series is going to look nothing like Yankees Red Sox. In those kind of close games, I'll take the team that's been there a little bit more often, that done it a little bit more often, and that has the superstars come up huge in big moments. It's famous to say that clutch isn't real in baseball until you watch Jose Ramirez in a big moment in a big game.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing, right? Is there's no denying the defense for this team. Starting like with Quan, right? It kind of begins and it ends with him. Not ends, but it definitely begins with him. And yeah, like the pitching, they trade away who I would consider their best pitcher, and it just still feels like they can throw out 2 or 3 guys to get the job done. Like I said, man,
Fantastic.
yeah, like I really do think that the Tigers should be able to win this series. I just can't get over what we've been watching over the last 2.5 months. I just can't get over it. So I'm right there with you, right there with Jordan in the chat as well. That I would take the Guardians, unfortunately, in this series as well. All right, last segment of the show, and we're gonna wrap it up. Once again, Tom, thank you so much for joining me, man. I appreciate it. What's your pick, dude? This is it. World Series. Here it is. We'll be back many, many times throughout the postseason. Hit me up, man. So give me your World Series matchup and tell me who you think wins the World Series.
All right. As much as I'd love to jump in guns blazing and say that we'll have a Jays Brewers World Series and the Jays win in 6, I think most likely coming out of the NL somehow. I just see the Phillies getting it done this year.
Yeah.
So much experience, so much talent, so much to play for, and they're not getting any younger, and I think they're all aware of that. I don't know how much that translates or how that translates. Obviously, none of us is on the inside of any of those guys' heads or any of those any of these clubhouses, right? But you just get the sense this year that they're really playing for. I mean, they're just playing so well. So I'd like them to come out of the National League, American League. Fangraphs has the Mariners as the odds, as the favorites for to win the World Series. And when you think about the Mariners, the first thing you think about is obviously that fantastic rotation. Even without Brian Wu, who may not be able to pitch, don't know is gonna. I think it's a pectoral issue. The rest of that rotation is just so strong, and that's obviously what you think about. They've lights out back of the bullpen. They also have a. I don't know if you heard about this, Mark. They got this 60 home run switch hitting catcher with plus defense. You know, I don't know why other teams don't try to get these guys.
The best nickname, the best nickname, ever. Like the Big Dumper, dude. Like I'm just picturing like some drunk at 1:00 in the afternoon construction worker talking about like the chick he brought home from the bar. Like that's just vulgar. You know what I mean? That's like, construction vulgarity, but it's about him, so it doesn't matter. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, but beyond that, they've got so much fantastic. I mean, within the course of a week before the trade deadline, in 2 separate deals, they imported the corner infield situation of a pretty good team in the Arizona Diamondbacks. They picked up Josh Naylor, who's been a terrific fit. That ballpark is a hard place to hit home runs for most people. Great hitter. Puts the ball in play, hits for a high average, right? Apparently steals bases. And then on the other side, they picked up Eugenio Suarez, who had already had success, some success in Seattle, so used to that ballpark. The lineup just keeps. It's a deep lineup. I think they scored the most runs of any team in September in the major leagues, and so a team built on pitching that has a really scary, lineup, I think, is probably the team that I'm going to suggest comes out of the American League. Yeah, and then we'll go Phillies over Mariners in the World Series.
Love it. Yeah, you know what? I can't disagree with that pick. I do think it is either the Mariners or the Blue Jays. And I know that I'm a Jays fan, and I do feel like I'm speaking objectively when I say this. The thing that concerns me, and we're going to talk about this more once we get to the divisional rounds. What scares me about the Blue Jays is just like the bullpen has really picked it back up here recently. And they have, and listen, like bullpens in baseball, this is what bullpens are. They're hot, they're cold. They go
Yep.
on roller coaster rides, and you just hope that the roller coaster is reaching the top by the time you get to
Bullpens,
the
even the
postseason.
best bullpens, to use a cross-sport analogy, even the best bullpens are Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. The worst
Right.
bullpen are Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns, Baker Mayfield, right? So that's, even a bad bullpen, will get you 9 quick outs sometimes. And even a good
100%.
bullpen is going to give up a home run at an inopportune moment. That's just the way that it is.
That's just the way
why
that it
why we
goes.
love this sport. Part of why we love this sport, right? I mean, it's based on hitting a round object with a round object. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
100%. And I think that's what concerns me about the Blue Jays is the fact that their bullpen on their best day is very good. There will never, if the Blue Jays make it all the way to game 7 of the World Series, there will never ever be a moment where Hoffman gets put out there when I don't have like toilet paper right next to me.
Yeah, the
Like I
weather
will.
better be good because I'm going to be outside for those innings, right? That's
You're right.
when
Exactly.
Hoffman, that's yeah. I can follow along from the box score. It's safer for everyone
Yeah.
if
And
I'm out.
so, but that being said, man, like I'm not saying that the Mariners necessarily thought they would be here. As you mentioned, they added a lot of really good pieces. But at the beginning of the season, if you gave me a choice, Blue Jays or Mariners in the postseason, getting a bye in the first round, you can only pick one. I think we're all picking the Mariners,
Absolutely.
all of us. The Blue Jays
For different reasons than what happened. You would have picked them because you would have thought that Julio Rodriguez would be the MVP candidate. You would have picked them because you would have thought George Kirby probably was the Cy Young caliber starting pitcher, right? You would have picked them because of run prevention, not because of 60 home runs from their switch hitting plus defensive catcher. Yeah. And you still probably would have thought wild card because I've said it for years, but I would only believe that the Astros were dead when I saw them buried, right?
I'm so happy about that, by the way. And listen, I do have distaste in my blood for the Astros. I'm a pretty petty person, and that whole cheating
Yeah,
thing, it still bothers me whether it should or it shouldn't.
for
It
sure.
just does. And I
Of
do
course it should.
think and I do think that, like I said, man, it's good to have new blood, and it's good to have like the mainstays. And I think being the Dodgers, being the Phillies, being the Brewers, being the Yankees, being the Guardians, I think that they're the right mainstays. I think that these are the right teams who seem to make it every year. These are the right
You've
ones
got
to be back. And the new
you've got
blood, I
a
think
good
it's
mix,
perfect.
right?
Yeah, I think
A good mix of big markets, small markets, rich teams, Davids and Goliaths, right? Younger teams, older teams, teams that you know, uh, players from all over the world, right? Everything is represented, and there's something to like or hate about all of them, pretty much.
for sure.
I can't imagine anybody but Cubs fans hating the Brewers. I can't imagine really anybody hating the Cincinnati Reds, especially with Tito Francona as their manager. But you know what I mean.
I'm
These
so
are
happy for him. Yeah.
The only thing that's not really fun about Cleveland is that they've been doing this for so long in exactly the same way every year, and it is not the most aesthetically pleasing brand of baseball. But and they're
No,
good at it.
man.
They're so good at baseball.
Listen, like the fact that they won that game last night and the way that they won it, even when halfway through they realized that they didn't have to win it, that was exciting. But that removed, this is a boring baseball team. But just to quickly finish my point. So that's the one thing about the Blue Jays, the bullpen, that makes me nervous. I have been very, very pleasantly surprised with how clutch this team has been. I don't think I remember seeing a Blue Jays team in the regular season be as clutch as this team has been. I know in 15 and 16 moments come postseason time, but even like there's not anything out in my brain as far as the regular season. I know postseason in 15 you had like the bad flip, in 16 in that single wild card game, which I kind of actually kind of missed that, to be honest. Edwin just smoking it in the 11th, I believe. Or 10th or 11th or whatever it was. So absolutely you're right in the postseason. But just all season long, man, they just have been clutch. And I've just been really impressed with how this team has got together. As I said earlier, I am super petty, and I'm still not going to give credit to Ross Atkins. I refuse to do so. Now, all of that being said, we're going to talk more about
last year. This all happened in spite of those moves.
I know.
Andres Gimenez plays very good defense, and you can tell by watching him hit that he must be good at defense, because otherwise, now he's had some really clutch hits, right? I think that's sometimes maybe the pitcher taking their foot off the gas. Oh, this guy. But yeah, I mean, what a great team. They got nothing out of Anthony Santander all season long. Jeff Hoffman has been.
Wasn't that his first game?
I need fresh air.
Like
so I'm glad for Jeff Hoffman in that way. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody, when they signed Eric Lauer to a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training, I don't think anybody thought that he was going to spend 40% of the season as their best starter.
I know.
You know, I mean, sometimes the sun, as they say in Texas, sometimes the sun will even shine on a dog's ass. That's Ross Atkins, 2025.
So, dude, I still hope. I hope they win the World Series and he somehow gets fired. But anyway, we'll talk about that series before the division round. My point is, I do think that the Phillies beat the Blue Jays in the World Series. I'm right there with you with the Phillies. They've been knocking at the door for so long. All this experience. You talk about clutch. These guys know how to do it come postseason. No disrespect to the Padres or the Cubs or the Brewers, but the fact that the Phillies and the Dodgers have to play in the divisional round if the Dodgers do win, that is a series that should be win and go into the World Series. But like I said, listen, the Brewers have been the best team in baseball for months now, and they deserve that. I'm just saying, if you're talking, storylines, headlines, if you're talking all that good stuff, Dodgers, Phillies in the NLCS would have just been prime. But I am saying Philly and Blue Jays in the World Series, and I do think that Philly wins. A bit of revenge for the early 90s. So that's what I got for you.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'll be honest, it was partly cowardice. I thought all year coming into the season and all season long, nothing has changed my mind that the Phillies were going to win the World Series this year.
I agree with you.
I did not think that the Blue Jays were going to win the division. I didn't think the Blue Jays were a wild card team until sometime in June. And as the worlds collide, right, reality and your expectations, I just don't want to watch the Jays lose in the World Series to the Phillies. So I picked the Mariners, and we'll just pretend, for my prediction's sake.
See, I'm a Phillies. See, I am a Toronto fan. I'm a Toronto sports fan. Philly is my second city, man. I'm a Philly sports fan. I don't think I'm as I'm quite as emotionally sporadic as the average Philadelphia sports fan. But I love my Philly sports, and I'll be riding. I'll be okay if the Blue Jays lose to the Phillies. I will be okay. That's why when Roy Halladay went to the Phillies, I was like, okay, I can live with this. I can watch this. But hey, we're gonna talk about all those teams later on in the week. Everybody enjoy the next few days of baseball. This is going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, stay tuned to my Twitter account. We will let you know when we will be back. Thank you once again. Before we head out of here, let everybody know this show's brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off of your order on any sports card in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off. And with our 10% discount, promo code SPORTS10, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off your order. And Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media. Jordan representing Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media. Football season, hockey, basketball, baseball, many other sports. It's all taken care of over there at Total Apex Sports. They have a health website. They talk about pop culture. They talk about video games and TV shows and movies and pop culture, and they take care of everything. So go to Total Apex Media and totalapexsports.com. My guy, Tom, it's been a long time. I am going to throw out a guess that nobody that is watching this right now watched you and me like 2.5 years ago talk about stuff. That's my guess. But Tom, thank you so much for joining me today, man. And we will see you in a few days.
Cannot wait, buddy. Thanks so much again.
Anytime. Everybody, enjoy the baseball. Enjoy your week. We will see you next time.